Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So I'm approaching about 6 years since I started my business and reflecting on the different seasons of call it motivation, call it, seasons of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, the roller coaster. We all talk about it. And thinking about how many times I've been in kind of a funk. And I think we've all been there. I think, especially if you've been in business for several years, you go through these kind of periods of, you know, feeling stuck, feeling like you're, I say bored, but more so that you feel like you can't get ahead and that you're plateaued. You feel like that you're losing motivation, you're losing growth, and things just aren't as fun. You're probably feeling like you're drudging along through the mud a little bit. And first of all, that's normal. I can say that firsthand. That's normal. And I want to share, there are a couple of things that I tried. I guess I wasn't even trying to get out of the funk, but I was going back into trying to find ways to alleviate it from happening. And what I realized was there are actually some specific things that now I'm going to call on when I feel like I'm getting into another business funk, which I kind of get into every maybe 6 to 9 months. I end up in this kind of routine and realizing what in my routine is not working for me, where there's resistance. I start feeling more resistance, more so to tasks I once was doing enthusiastically. I'm not doing enthusiastically anymore. And things and ways of spending my time are shifting. And I realize that there is about a 6 to 9 month shelf life on the different layers of skin, if you will. You think about like a snake shedding its skin. Like I have about a 6 to 9 month shelf life on the types of things I should be doing, the types of ways I'm interacting, the activities, the focus areas, and where I'm spending my time. And if you think of it like that, almost in seasons, then I think that, and by the way, that's pretty long actually. Probably say it happens. I think this changes about maybe even 5 times a year sometimes. And there's no like set rhythm to it. But what I realized was that the reset that's needed, that molting that has to happen, you have to trigger. And you have to know when it's coming and kind of see it for what it is and go, okay, it's time for me to shed something. And it's not always easy. It doesn't make itself obvious to you. So I'm going to share with you what I do when I feel like I'm entering into that little bit of a funk. What I do is I go right back to my calendar and I start from zero. That's the number one thing I can recommend because where you spend your time is where your focus goes. When you're building a business, it's not just about where you're spending your money, but it's where you're spending your energy. And that energy comes in the form of time spent typically. So when you think about the finite amount of time you have in a day, a week, a month, where are you spending that? And what does that say about your priorities? And reassess your own time. And I'm not saying you do a full-fledged time audit. I don't do that. But what I do is I look at my calendar and I say, okay, you know, are all these meetings necessary? Number one, am I looking forward to every one of these phone calls? And they all serve a purpose. Am I clear on the objective of each one? And should I be the one hosting them? Should I just be attending? What is my role? I reprioritize everything. I also make sure that I go well into the future and I program in my own personal time and movement time. And movement time, I mean, get my ass off the desk chair and go outside, go walk the dog, go exercise, go to the gym. I need to work in movement throughout the day. And sporadically, even between meetings, I have a half hour that's just like walk the whole time. Please walk. Because you have 2 hours in the morning of meetings, 2 hours in the afternoon, and you need to walk in between. Stuff like that. And you have to confirm if your attendance on a meeting or of a meeting cadence actually serves you and serves the other people. I think we get into this rut of thinking that okay, we have like our monthly CFO call with this client and our weekly CFO with the call with this client. I've recently gone through a reassessment and said, "Hey guys," to my clients, "Hey guys, we have biweekly check-ins. Right now, we've worked together for a year, 2 years, maybe even 3." And I say, "We've been doing biweekly check-ins this past year, and it's been awesome. But I feel like we don't have a ton that's really timely. We're also really good on Slack. We're really good about communicating with each other. Let's reward ourselves with less meetings and let's just do one standing monthly. And then you can always book ad hoc if stuff comes up." And the clients were like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." Because, by the way, more isn't better. So we actually cut down the meetings for clients that are more established. Much like an employee, think of it this way: when you have a new employee, when we bring in someone new, we're doing almost daily check-ins, like every day or every other day for like 2 weeks. And then it eases into a couple times a week, it eases into weekly, and then it will ease into biweekly. And that is kind of the progression because that's how much guidance and how much hands-on management is needed. Similarly with clients, we realized that we don't have to micromanage the process, that we don't have to have a meeting for the sake of a meeting. If we don't really have anything to talk about, we can just put that in the Slack channel and say, "Hey, we really don't have anything huge on the agenda this week. We want an update from you on what's going on with the business. Any questions we have, which are all below here, can really be served in a Slack message or a voice note, or you can just give me a call whenever you have time if you're in the car or something on the go." And you know what? As an entrepreneur myself, on the receiving end, I would really love it if our service providers do stuff like that to us because it's not like we're skipping out on the call or the call is the value. It's about the service, like, it's about, are we getting the stuff done? So, get back your time in the form of eliminating unnecessary meetings, unnecessary time commitments. Revisit your agendas on your meetings and revisit your priorities, because I think that there's a lot that you could eliminate from your calendar because I think we're just kind of in this rut from corporate, some of us, that if you don't have a full calendar, you're not really busy, or that whatever time you have in between meetings, I fell into this actually where I was so packed with meetings that every moment in between, I just had enough time to eat or go take a shower or do a small walk or, just sit down for a second and decompress for a little bit. And honestly, you shouldn't be in a position where the pace at which you're moving requires that of you. And you should be able to have these blocks of time. Like, I've made it a priority lately and to get out of the most recent funk I was in. I made it a priority to not take any calls before 11 or 12 Eastern, which is, I'm on mountain time right now, so that would be 10 a.m. mountain time. Ideally, I can make exceptions when necessary, but that's up to my discretion. So every one of our booking links that lead to my calendar does not have me available for before 10 a.m. mountain. And that's intentional, and I had to be okay with that taking a few people off because I said, "You know what? I just want my own preservation of my energy until at least 10 so I can get up, I can go walk the dog, I can go fill my cup, I can go and get deep work done and go create more work through these meetings without feeling stressed out that you know, I have to go and attend meetings from the moment I wake up." That stresses me out to no end, and it's what I'm used to doing in corporate, as I'm sure you are too.
Hey, Shannon here, and I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying this podcast and enjoying this episode, please leave us a review on your podcast platform, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, any of them, and let us know if you're enjoying the show. One of your biggest takeaways, we would really, really appreciate it. Okay, back to the show.
And you have that choice. So when we talk about falling into some type of business funk where you feel like you're stuck, a lot of the time it's time related, it's calendar related, and there's a lot that you could be doing to clean that up. And I recommend, this is gonna sound crazy, but I would recommend not crazy, but crazy to some of us who are, used to corporate, is open up an Excel spreadsheet or a spreadsheet or even just, like, draw it on paper. Draw down the columns of, like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's just say that's your work week, and write down what you wanna be focused on each of those days. And it doesn't mean that's the only thing you're gonna do, but give yourself a theme of the day. And we did this too. So Monday is team calls. So internal meetings, one-on-ones, and like tone setting for the week. So it's kind of like the huddles with the teams and saying, "Hey, here's your goals for the week. Let's just set our intentions for the week, update our asanas, go team go, hands in the middle," right? Then Tuesday is actually my deep work day and kind of choice day where I can choose how I spend it. We seldom have meetings on Tuesday. I go to the gym on Tuesday. I kind of give myself a chance to get my client work done for the week. I do a couple of podcasts maybe and network. That's kind of a flowing day. Very busy still, but free flowing in that there's minimal commitments that are made on Tuesdays well in advance. Then Wednesday and Thursday are client meeting days. Those are the big days where we cover a lot of our meetings. Friday is podcast day, marketing, and frankly a free day for me to and my team, but designed around the fact that when you have a lot of meetings on Wednesdays and Thursdays, it tends to create a lot of work. So we create work that we're going to go do. And while it's still fresh before we head to the weekend, we get a good chunk of that deep work done on Friday. But I let the team all decide how they spend their Friday. So if you want to, you know, spend your time on Wednesday and Thursday creating Asana tasks for the following week, assuming nothing's urgent, you can do that and you can take some time off on Friday. But knowing that you're going to have a pretty jam packed week the following week, I let everyone manage their own time. So, I'm not telling you you have to follow this rhythm, but I'm telling you that the last time that I fell into a funk, I took my calendar and I started from 0 and I made a list of, okay, what is ideal for each day to be done and what would work for the team, what would work for me, and then figuring out, okay, then we're going to confine these types of calls to these couple days so that we're just on and we don't have to context switch a lot. And now I can contain a lot of that energy that's going to those things in a shorter period of time. Like, I don't have client calls strewn throughout the week. It would be a little chaotic for me if we did that because I'd be context switching constantly. I'd be like on a podcast, then on a client call, then on a team one on one. Like, I can't handle that much switching around. We have to stick to themes. And I wanna revisit there was an episode I did after I read the book, 10x is easier than 2x, where I talk about the buffer time, the focus time, and the personal time. That was gold for me because it really helped create those theme days. Also, I recommend Alex Hormozy wrote this amazing blog, and he talked about it a bit when I was at his keynote in Vegas, and it was around maker time versus manager time. I'm sure if you Google that, you can find the YouTube where he goes through that. But it's about dedicating larger chunks of time to getting the work done and larger chunks of time to the management of items and the oversight. So if you're in this kind of business funk, I think that what could be a remedy is starting from 0 back to your calendar and figuring out how to optimize it for your energy because I think that a lot of what we do drains our energy and we don't realize it. A lot of what is typical in corporate or second nature in corporate drains our energy without realizing it. And if we just stuck to our own, you know, nature of what our bodies, what our minds want to be doing and what we can focus on, I think we'd be a lot better off. And this is just what's worked for me in terms of just starting over with the calendar. Honestly, start over with the calendar and I did this actually the first day that I quit my job. I actually took a blank calendar of a work week, and I kinda put together, "This is what I wanna be doing each day of the week based on how I'm feeling and based on not taking on too much all at once and not hitting the ground running on Monday morning on client calls." And that was a really big step for me was not packing my calendar from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., which, by the way, was the case. I was double, triple booked from, like, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m and didn't have enough time to do any actual work, ever. The actual work took place after dinner during the week, or the actual work took place over the weekend, and I don't want that for you. I don't want that for my team. Oh god. I want that for nobody. The whole point is that you can get your work done and go to meetings and do what you gotta do, but you really have to revisit if that energy is being spent in the right places. And not only that, eliminate some of those meetings if you need to. Put up barriers between being able to meet on something versus handling things asynchronously through Looms and Asanas and other things. It has helped us immensely. I think the best thing you can do is pinpoint where your biggest areas of resistance are and start attacking those things. It doesn't mean anything deeper, I promise you. Sometimes it feels like a big funk that you're in and you're like, "Oh, I hate this business. I'm come to resent it. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun anymore." But I'm telling you that I bet it's related somehow to the calendar. I I can almost guarantee it. So, please, I encourage you, if you're feeling like you're kind of in that right now, First of all, you're not alone. Second of all, there is a way out, and I think this might be the gateway.
Finding the right support that you need for your business can be so confusing when it comes to accounting and tax. Sometimes it seems like you can't find a CPA or a tax pro who actually understands your business, or they charge way too much for what you actually need. I've seen this for so many entrepreneurs. They are in a bad relationship with their accountant because they don't know what to look for. It is not your fault. So I created a perfect guide for you that is totally free. It's called the Money Pro Matchmaker, and it will teach you what your pro should be doing, questions you can use to interview them to find the right person for you, and a guide to evaluate them so you know you're getting what you pay for. Do not get stuck or screwed with the wrong accountant. Download the guide now at moneypromatchmaker.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.